There's one word that governs everyone's life, and it's called safety. From the earliest moment in the crib where you start to cry or you start to smile, you are looking to be safe. And in the beginning, it works pretty well. You cry, and someone comes. You smile, and they pour their heart out to you. And you feel really, really safe. You're swaddled, you're comforted, and you somehow trust that that's going to be the condition of your life. This is for the lucky ones. Most people, babies have a way of bringing that out of other people. They are protected. A few unlucky babies don't have that, but most of us have had that. And then something goes wrong. We cry and they don't come. We have an ache and a pain and nobody seems to notice. We cry louder. We smile harder. We create strategies that will keep us safe. And you're doing it up to this minute. Your whole life really, in some ways, is designed around it. And everybody has their own unique strategy. Some of us make ourselves very strong, protect ourselves. Some of us become comedians because people laugh at us, they love us. Safety. Develop a really warm personality, and people are kind to you. You're not threatened by life. A lot of people discover, or believe they discover, money. If I have money, I'm safe. Shelter, safe. And these are all good strategies, except for one thing, that you can never be safe. Period. There's no such thing. If safety means endless, infinite protection for your ego, mind, self, it can't happen. Because you are created and you will be uncreated. You are manifested and you will become unmanifested. It's just the way it is. That's who we are. And so trying to evolve an entire life around staying permanently created and manifested is kind of insane. Because why devote an entire life to the one thing that's absolutely impossible to have? Even if you buy life insurance, health insurance, on and on and on, you know somewhere in yourself that it's only temporary safety, conditional safety, and that it's all going to be blown apart at some point, catastrophically probably. And what are you going to do about that? Well, some of you come here. And you come here because, another kind of safety, spiritual safety. Or you can go to church or synagogue, religious safety. Because somehow you will be protected by being a good person and in touch with spirit. That it will guarantee you something. And you might even make a deal with yourself that even if your body somehow doesn't survive, your spirit will be safe. We kind of buy into that. In fact, most religion is about that. at least give me a safe soul. And I want to guarantee that, so what do? I go to church and synagogue regularly, I pray, I meditate. I'm trying to get some assurance, some life assurance, some spiritual assurance that I will be forever safe. And so here's the story, guys. There is such a thing as ultimate safety, if you will. But it has nothing to do with you. You will not be safe. You are already safe. I know that sounds contradictory. Your individual personality self is temporary. Your deepest self is infinite, eternal. The problem in your life is that you are investing all of your time and energy in protecting something that cannot be protected and not yet awakened to the thing which is always and completely whole. The thing that shifts in the awakened state is the whole game playing of looking for safety. It's still there in incipient form. It has a kind of pattern in you, but it doesn't have the same kind of glue, because the thing that is looking for safety has now receded into the background, and the foreground is that which always is. And so safety is no longer a guiding principle. So then what is a guiding principle? How do you live your life when you're not pursuing safety moment to moment to moment? Well, it's not a lot different. You're still going about your day, you still do your stuff, except you're not walking around in a continual state of fear or anxiety or tension. You're no longer feeling the same rigidities of holding yourself together. There's just a kind of being. This idea of faith and trust, which are so important to the ego-mind, safety-seeking being, kind of goes away. Because you don't have to have faith in what is. You don't have to believe in some future version of what is. It is, right now. So you just go, oh. And you just become a presence, or realize that you only are a presence. That's what you really are. And that presence is unowned. There's nobody who owns it. It just is. And it is what you are, even as you're sitting here right now listening to this talk. You're just presence. And maybe your mind is trying to own some of this and hold on to it, and maybe would like to be taking notes or something like that. But it doesn't need to, because presence is addressing presence. It's just there. So the whole modus operandi of your life shifts from trying to get and have and protect to just be, allow, and live. I had dinner with Paul Hederman the other night, the man whose talk I was listening to when the shift took place. fascinating, wonderful, truly unique entity. He said so much, there was no way that my mind could hold it, which is kind of his gift. He says so much that he just washes your mind away, because you can't grasp any of it. But one thing that kind of lasted for me was, there's no such thing as a noun or a pronoun. We're only verbs. In other words, there is no I to whom anything is happening. There is no you. There only is happening. There only is seeing. There only is hearing. It's not you that's doing it, it's doing it. And even it is a problem. Because there is no it, there only is. There only is. When there only is, the individual self that wants to own that or identify with it through this particular set of hearing, seeing mechanisms falls away. It just goes away. And that's called liberation. It lightens the load. There's nobody owning this thing. There's no refractory mechanism. There's nobody changing the lenses of, this is the Bruce lens. There's no lens. There's no interpretive lens. It's just direct perception, direct being. And it's what we feel most of the time. Honestly, most of the day, that's what you're feeling. You're feeling a kind of direct perception, but there's nobody labeling it. The minute you label it as I see something, I understand something, I know something, you've just taken the vast global aspect of your being and reduced it into this perception of singularity. This is how I see it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how it works. Except awakening tells you that's what you're doing. Oh, global, particular. In science they call light a wave and a particle. And it's all dependent on how you see it. If you are seeing it from a certain perspective, it's a wave. You see it from another perspective, it's a particle. We're the same thing. We're light. In the global sense, we're this unconstructed wave. In the particular sense, we're this particle. It has a name and a personality and a face and a nose and eyes and all that stuff. And so we keep shifting between the two. But there are times, more times in the day, where you are a wave than you realize. And you don't realize it because when you're a wave, there's no you to realize it. You're just being, going about the day. It's like when you're sitting working really hard on something, and you go, whoa, where did the time go? What happened? What was that? It's like the wave suddenly went, particle. The wave is unconstructed, totally at peace with itself, undifferentiated oneness. The particle is, what was that? What just happened? It's the reanimating of a very small aspect of self. And that small aspect is the part that thinks and worries and seeks safety. The idea that you're not that most of the day is really fascinating, because the thing that separates being away from a particle is that you can be aware of being a wave, but conscious of being a particle. Awareness is global, consciousness is specific. And that consciousness is aware of it as a noun, or as a pronoun. It really is aware that I am cold. When you go into the global, there is cold. Cold is. It's not happening to me, it just is. And there's nobody suffering it other than the particular thing that decides to suffer it. Mostly it's just cold, hot. There's still a body, mind thing, and it will try to warm itself. It will try to, turn the hot water off or on or whatever you're doing. It still does all that stuff, but there is no particular person there running the show. It's just happening. It knows what to do. It knows exactly when it gets too hot, when it gets too cold, when it's hungry, when it's not hungry. You know, you can actually, people describe this, and I've experienced this thing of suddenly walking into the kitchen to get food and wondering where I'm going. It's like going to get food, you know, and you go, oh, it's hungry, as opposed to I'm hungry. And it's not even there's just hunger. This global wave-like entity, this being thing, this just being, has no name, it has no form, it has no duration, there's no description of it. It's very hard for the mind to grasp it, which is what all of us are trying to do. Through art, through science, through daily life, we're trying to go, what is this thing? In fact, most people have given up trying to understand it. They're just trying to, oh God, here's another day, turn on the TV, do this, do that, and they just keep trying to keep this mind somewhat comfortable, engaged, and safe. But when you awaken, that stuff will still go on, but there's no one doing it. There's no one doing it. It's just doing it. It's just doing it. Is there a reason to arrive at it's just doing it? I'm not sure. Because it's happening whether you're aware of it or not. So awakening may not be for everybody. I mean, it's definitely a shift in perspective. It's definitely an extraordinarily wondrous awareness. But it's not your awareness, it's just awareness. And in truth, when you're sitting there much of the day, you're having it. So how can you get to it? I mean, it's like a little shift inside that occasionally goes, oh. You don't even go, that was it. Something in you goes, this is it. That's the only difference. If you go, that was it, it has just gone away. But if you go, this is it, and it's kind of, it's not your mind telling you, it's it telling you, this is it. And you go. And then it doesn't go into past tense, it just stays there. And as it stays there, it senses its own self, its own wondrous self. And then the little voice somewhere inside goes, what about me? What about me? Why am I in this? And it's hardly anywhere in this. It's there, but it's no longer foreground, it's background. Foreground is this amazing place that you are most of the time. 98% of the time, I would venture to say. You are in a state of no you. Meaning, you're not thinking about your history, your problems, what's happening tomorrow. Truly, that stuff happens only for a small part of the day. And it's the worst part of the day. Oh my God, Christmas is coming and I've got to get gifts and how am I going to do this? Blah, 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 blah. That part is awful. But then, you go on Amazon or whatever and you order the stuff and you go shopping and it's done and you come home and you sit down and it's like, that's presence. Literally presence. It's the most wonderful gift there is. It's just, you are yourself. So, if you can recognize that during the day, you've just given yourself the only thing you've ever truly wanted in life. But you haven't given yourself anything that wasn't already there. All it is this, I get it. I get it. It's called realization. I realize what I am. I'm just this non-named, unnamed, unindividualized, global wave of being. And I'm also this little particle. And it just depends how you look at it. And you can kind of choose to be the wave. And you'll like it when you do it. It's all you want. It's all you want. It is ultimate safety. Safety not in the sense of protection, but just there is nothing to harm it, there's only it. There's no two things working. It's just it. Oh, oh. Done. What more is there? Where do I have to get to? What do I have to buy? Who do I have to have like me? There's still biology. If you're going into a car crash, your body's going to go through all the same stuff your mind would normally go to. Your mind may come into it, a particle may grasp it. But I've been in car crashes. It's just the opposite. The particle lets go into the global. You watch those car crashes from a whole different place. That's global. That's you, safety. That's the true you. Your body can get totally destroyed, honestly, and you'll still be global. That's the gift of spiritual pursuit, if you will. That something in you is beginning to pay attention to this thing of being. That you're not just going through the day in this unconscious, oh God, stuff. You all know that place. It's horrible. It's just horrible. You stop doing that. Or you even realize that you don't do it as much as you really think you do. It's default position. Most people's default position is whining. And it's unfortunate, because nobody wants to be there, and yet that's where we go, all the time. So you just learn, you don't even learn, this thing happens, this shift in perspective. And there's no whiner. There's no whiner to whine. Because it doesn't really bother you. I mean, so it'll bother you a little bit, something's not there that you wanted, okay. In the particle sense, when something's not there that you wanted, it's like, that's not going to happen, whatever. When in the global sense, it's like, something's not there. I'll have to get it. Big difference. Big difference. But it's the same problem. And everybody knows it, because you all have your things that make you totally crazy. What mostly defines the ego mind is a set of very old patterns of comfort and safety. And when you're not having those patterns satisfied, you go bonkers. But you don't have to. You just don't have to. One of the ways to really become aware of not being you is to alter the physicality of your environment. To change the stuff that is totally familiar. It's really interesting. Rudy said spiritual work starts with making your bed in the morning, but it also involves the material expression of your life is you on some level. It kind of defines you. And your home, your environment is a statement of you. So many people don't know where to start their spiritual practice, and they think it's sitting down and meditating. I'm going to say no, it's clean your house. Get your house in order. This old idea of cleanliness is next to godliness. It's absolutely true. If you think spiritual life is sitting down quiet while there's breadcrumbs on the floor that haven't been picked up in a week, and sheets that you haven't washed because why should I bother, or whatever your thing is, you're going to miss the point. Get your life in order. Make the space you live in a space that announces your spiritual being. Dust under the books on the top shelf that haven't been moved in 12 years. Whatever it is, get involved in your life on any level you can and take charge of it. And then do something you've never done before. Change the perception. Change the angle on your own particle. Instead of looking at it through the microscope this way, look at it that way. And the way to do that is find something in your life that causes you not to feel safe. And do it. Just that shift in your life will provide you with an angle of view that may allow for this clarity to take place. I can't tell you what that thing is, but find something in yourself, in your life, that allows you a different perspective, and that will help to begin this process of releasing you from the locked-in syndrome of most people's lives. And as we get older, I can tell you, I watch it happen. People get more and more frigid, rigid, frozen, immobile. Their life is like, this is my life. And it is safe on some level, which is why one goes there, but it's completely deadening on another level. Do something that will break that. Crack the ice. And then you will find there will be new movement, new flow, and an opportunity to see what you are. This pursuit of safety kills you. Don't do it if you can help it. Open and trust what is. It'll free you. It'll make your life a lot sweeter. Any questions?
Well, there are things also that you could pursue that you are not being safe, and it could cause death, or it could cause, so I'm just kind of wondering about that part of it.
Well, of course, the biggest safety thing that we look for is to avoid death. I mean, and that's our biggest fear, death. There's nothing bigger than death as a terrifying thing. I don't mean to challenge death as such. For some people, changing your safety is going to a different supermarket. Going to meet a person that you don't like. Opening to a situation which would have caused you tension, or does cause you tension, and just doing that. Trust me, you don't have to go to death in order to open to the possibility of another angle on your life, whatever it may be. I was sitting in the airport the other day, in a long delay on an airplane, and I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden this guy just came over and sat next to me and started talking. And we had the most wonderful hour-long conversation that ended in a hug. We'd never met each other. We just talked and talked. And I don't know why he came over and just started talking to me. And part of me went, why is he doing this and who is he? And then another part of me just went, he arrived. He appeared. Engage. And it was beautiful, completely beautiful. And then I asked myself, why don't I ever do that? Why don't I ever go sit next to somebody? I loved it when he did it. And one can do that. It's not safe. Somebody may reject you. They may say, what's your problem? But they may also start talking like we did and end with a hug of someone you never met in your life before, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful exchange. That's not safe, but it's really wonderful. We can do those kinds of things. You know, Rudy would say, if you have a neighbor who doesn't like you and causes you problems, you know, what do you do with something like that when there's this tension all the time? He said, bake a cake and get flowers and go over to their house and change the situation. Turn it around. This is brilliant. It's brilliant. You know, clean up your life. Make it other. Expand it. The great thing about Rudy's teaching in relationship to everything we're talking about is it gives you something to do. We're still here. This is real. This is physical, material world. This is your existence. Work it. Live it. Be part of it. Do it brilliantly. Don't do it safely. The safe version of it. Not that you're trying to be crazy here. You don't have to go skateboarding into the middle of the street. You know, what you want to do is do the thing you do that shifts the gears enough to give you another way of looking at your own existence. Something that takes you out of the frozen sense of this is who I am, which gets really frozen at our age. You're not that. Kids are shifting all the time, trying to find new personas to wear. Try it. Try it. You know, we can try it. You're actually good at it. You know, we can do that. It's just another way of trying to find an avenue into this ineffable moment where you go, ah. And then that's not the end of it. What it does is it wakes you up like it did me to saying, I can go sit next to people that I never sat next to. In other words, rather than engineer what I'm talking about, it will start to arise naturally. You can be anything at any time. Because you're free. You're free. I don't have to be Bruce all the time. I don't have to be the Bruce that I've known all these years. Because he's a very tiny little, you know, kind of locked-in character. But the Bruce that has emerged, or the being that is here, is not that Bruce anymore. So I can be everything. Anything. Because I'm no longer in pursuit of safety, I'm in pursuit of life. Of living. Of wow. Wonder. That's what it's about. You're not even in pursuit of it, you're just, actually you're witnessing it all the time. Anybody else? Well, okay. Merry Christmas to all. Happy holidays. We're still going to have class next week, and the week after. I know they're very enmeshed with the holidays, and maybe nobody will show up, but this will show up. We'll see who's out there. Thank you guys very much.